Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Plone Hands On after the successful Plone conference happening in Brasilia this year. We decided to start this series of lives, and then to have also some extra material for documentation and for people to learn how to work with Plone, with Volto, with Plone backend in general. We will start today learning how to build a project with Plone 6 and 6.1 in this case. Nowadays, we have Cookie Plone. If you haven't heard about it, is the new boilerplate for building Plone projects, starting in Volto 18 and Plone 6.1. It is the new recommended way of building projects and developing all the workflow, all the life cycle of a project. You can find the documentation in here. You seen the URL. It's in the official Plone docs in 6.plone. 6docs.plone.org. We are going, as I said, we're going to use the new Cookie Plone. You can find the documentation in this page. We can go step by step, following the documentation. And we will, since this is a hands-on, I will be following the documentation and then going step by step until we have our project set up. First of all, let's go to the most interesting part, is that we need some prerequisites for the installation. First of all, starting with Python, Plone 6.1 supports any Python versions from starting from 3.10, 3.11, and 3.12. Then we will need also the Python utility that is called pipex. You can also install it via this command line in your machine. The most recommended way to install pipex is you install it globally in your machine, and then you use it from whatever folder you need to run it. Then we need also a version of Node. In this case, Volto 18 supports the latest LTS version of Node, which is Node 22. You can install it using NVM, which is the Node package manager, and the Node version manager. You can also follow the documentation straightforward. It's not rocket science. You follow the steps, and then you will have NVM installed, and later on you can install the LTS version of Node using this command. Afterwards, and this is very important, you should enable CorePack. CorePack is a new feature that right now it's in it's opt-in in Node. It's not that it's by default enabled. You have to enable manually. This feature will allow you to use any package manager in your Node applications, and more specifically, Cookie Plone needs PNPM for work. Then we will enable it. And finally, we need a couple of system utilities, namely make. We will need make, and then having Git installed also in our machine will also be useful. Then let's do that. Let's go directly to the hands-on part. Let's install Cookie Plone, and we go pipex run -- no cache, because we don't want to use any cache. We want to use the latest pipex. Then we go on, no, not replay, sorry. We execute the command that you have in here, right? You can also pass the name of the project at the end, but in this case, we're going to go with the defaults. So you can have a point of reference, and everybody can have the same point of reference. Yeah, we have this screen presentation, which we can choose if we want a Plone project, if we want a backend add-on for Plone, or we want a front-end add-on for Plone. Cookie Plone is able to generate these three types of boilerplate. Being the first one, the Plone project, the one that will not only have all the boilerplate of a project, but also on itself will have a backend side and a front-end side. And each of them will have an add-on, a backend add-on and a front-end add-on. Why this is important? Because we are stressing out the fact that right now, with Cookie Plone, we achieved the point that we all Plone development is gearing towards use only add-ons for configure your project. So we can say that it's an add-on driven development. We will use always add-ons, both in the front end, both in the back end, to configure our projects or to provide features to our projects. In this case, we're going to start with a Plone project. Then we choose one. It's then a couple of questions pop because the Cookie Plone will try to narrow what we want. For at the beginning, it will make a sanity check for if our machine met these requirements that I mentioned before, and now it's telling us that we are good to go. We have Python, Node, Git, and the optional Docker. In this case, we will leave all the defaults on. We won't configure anything because, as I said, I wanted every one of us start from the same starting point. So we will press enter to everything. So here is asking us for the title of the project, for the description. This will go directly to the add-on's name and the add-on description. Then it's asking us for a Slack. This will be the folder that will generate. It will the name of the folder that will generate. In this case, project dash title. Then more metadata: the project URL, the author email. Then this question is important. It will ask us if we want to use pre-release versions or not. In this case, we're going to tell it that no, we don't want pre-release versions, but we're going to use latest beta of Plone 6.1, and the only thing that we are going to do is to state so in here. So we put 6.1.0 v1. We will press enter. Then okay, this is strange because we say no, but it's asking us for the latest alpha. But okay, let's put the latest Volto in there, which is 18.2.3. And then the Python package name, it's the name of the add-on that will go into the backend side, and then the name of the add-on that will go into the front-end side, which will be project.title and volto-project-title. For finishing already the questions, it asks us the language, let's say English. If we want GitHub or GitLab, the metadata going in there. If we want to use a container registry, we want to use the GitHub one or the Docker Hub or a GitLab one, then we will continue with defaults, everything. We should set up a caching server, let's say yes, and the Ansible playbooks, let's say also yes. And finally, the GitHub actions to deploy this project, let's also answer yes. And now it's creating our project. Okay, that's it. Since we said that the project Slack will be project title, we will have it in here. Okay, have it in here, and let's open. Okay, let's open. Sorry, I have all this open. Let's open the project, and this is the shape of the boilerplate that the Cookie Plone has created for us. Okay. yeah, let's continue, and first of all, let's install it. So once we cd into the project, we can install our project running make install. We run make install, and what it will do is it will install the project both in the backend, which is what it's doing now, and in the front end. Reaching to this point, I'd like to stress the point that we designed CookiePlone to have some makefile commands, both in the root and inside each backend or front-end folders. This is, as I said, this is for convenience for the development. All commands have the same naming. So if you want, for example, to start something, you can go into the backend folder or the front-end folder and say make start. If you want to install the backend or the front-end, you can go also inside each folder and run the same command, and it will do the same thing, but for the front-end or for the backend. If you do it at the top, it would install both. If you do make start at the top, it will start both processes for you. What I recommend, and is what people usually do, is that you open your project, but then you open other tabs in your shell, and then you point every one of these tabs to the front end and the other tab to the back end. Let's do this. Let's go to the back end and let's open another tab. And it was in here. Okay, let's go to the front end then, and here we will issue make start, as I was saying, and it will start Volto. And if we go to the backend and do make start, it will start the backend, as you can see. Okay, we have the backend ready, and if we go to the local host 3000 in a moment, yeah, now it's finishing. Hello. Okay, here we go. Okay, and we have Volto installed. Remember that this is the front-end port, but we have the back-end port also available in case that we want to access the back-end, and we have it in here in the usual place. So we have Plone Classic in here, the Volto process listening to 3000, and we have it all. So yeah, congratulations. I mean, that was it. We installed a Plone 6.1 instance, and let's figure that out. We logged in, then we go to the set setup, and he's saying in the summary, yeah, Volto 18.2.3, and then Plone 6.1 beta 1. And as you can see, this is vanilla Plone 6.1, Volto 18, and yeah, let's now take a look at the at the shape. Which shape have this boilerplate that CookiePlone has created for us? So basically, this is what you see when you let's make it a little bit bigger. This is what you see when you open the folder. You can see several folders in the root. The most important ones, as I told you, is the front end and the back end. The front end, if we open the front end one, we see that it has a monorepo layout. We will go to there. We'll come back to that point in a moment. We have the backend. This has a usual Plone backend structure using mxdef, and as I told you also before, with a single policy package for the backend, a single add-on that will represent our project and will contain all the customizations that our project will have. And this can be also familiar for you, and yeah, it has the usual layout. in here. Then let's continue a little bit. We have a GitHub folder, which will have the default GitHub actions that the developer has set up for us. It has basically the normal checks that one will need for a project. Namely ESLint, linting, ITNN, unit tests, and then it makes a report. And if everything goes well, it generates a couple of images, the front-end one and the back-end one, and it's ready to be deployed somewhere. We can, we probably will cover that in another hands-on. We'll continue with the DevOps. Also, same, some food for another hands-on, where we will show how to deploy your project somewhere. And here are all the utilities needed for that. We won't enter in this session. Then, as I told you also, we have a root makefile, which have some convenience commands in here, like the ones that we already used. The make install, the make start. There are some other commands, you can explore them. You have also, if let's show them a little bit. If you do make help, you have all the commands available, and then a small explanation of every command, if you want. Then let's go inside the front end folder. Let's see what's inside. Inside, you can find all the boilerplate, all the setup that is necessary to run an instance of Volto, and that instance is configured by a policy add-on. Let's say what we call in the backend the policy add-on. This is the project add-on, the add-on that contains all the information about how my project should behave and should be customized and shown to the app. The add-on live in an usual monorepo layout. Why are we using monorepos? Because it's the industry default nowadays when it comes to software development. When you develop a complex application in JavaScript, it's very useful. It's very usual that a project uses the monorepo approach. What is a monorepo? Monorepo is a folder that contains everything that is necessary to run an application, and this application can be composed by packages. It can depend on other packages as well, and normally these monorepos are handled by utilities that help to set up all the environment needed for the application to run. In this case, we are using PNPM, which is one of the most famous package managers nowadays, being the others, NPM, you already use that for sure, Yarn, and also PNPM is one of the big players in the industry right now in the JavaScript ecosystem. We're using PNPM, which have a rich set of utilities to manage monorepos, and also, which is the important part, is able to work with what we call workspaces. PNPM, so in these workspaces, we extensively use this feature to set up our environment. How we do that? We do that through this file that is in here. We will come to that a little bit later, but this is the file that instructs PNPM where to look for workspaces. In this case, we're looking into the core packages folder and into the packages folder. Normally, by default, the monorepos uses this packages folder where all the packages that an application is composed of are stored. And then by using this line, we're telling PnPm, hey, everything that is inside packages is going to be a workspace. These packages can be physically inside the packages folder, or can be pulled from other places, or can be even be symlinks that are in here because you have another package somewhere else in your hard drive, and then you put it in here. But we will come to that a little bit later also. The important question is that everything that is inside packages will be potentially a workspace in your monorepo. For now, we only have one. We only have this add-on that I told you, that is the default add-on for our project, that it's called Volto project title. Okay. Let's take a look at another important file in the monorepo, which is mrsdeveloper.json. You probably know Mrs. Developer or Mr. Developer from the backend side. Back in the days, or probably you are still using it. It was an utility for build out to pull from different repositories and pull packages into your environment, into your project, and then being able to use these packages into your build, in your build out build. Mrs. Developer does the same. So it defines a number of checkouts that has to perform. And then it grabs the packages from these places, from these repositories that can be scattered all over the place, and then configures them for your environment to use them. In this case, by default, Cookie Plone only setups one, which is the core folder, which pulls the whole Volto repository into the core folder in the front-end directory. You see in here, we have a checkout of Volto itself in here. Why do we have that? Because we want to develop Volto at the same time that we are developing our project, right? One of the goodies that we get from using a monorepo is that we got rid finally of a middleman artifact that we had from the old way of building Volto, which is Razzle, the Razzle project. And we've been using that since the very beginning in Volto. As you might know, we use Razzle, which is a bundler tool for building applications. Volto is based on it, but for building our own projects based in Volto, we use this artifact that Razzle imposed us to use, which is the Razzle project. We got rid of this artifact by using the monorepo, and then we made the boilerplate far more easy to use, also easy to update. And also we have, by removing this middleman, the boilerplate size was reduced, and we have to maintain less files. How we did that, how we got rid of the project artifact in Razzle. It's easy. Instead of having a project, Volto has been always able to load add-ons by itself. So Volto core is able to load add-ons since quite a few time ago. So why to have this project in the middle when we can load our add-ons directly into Volto? And that's the whole idea behind this new setup. So we have vanilla Volto in this core checkout. And what we are doing is loading the vanilla Volto with our add-ons, and more specifically with the add-on that we have by default, the policy add-on that we have in the package folder in the mono repo. Let's see how this is done. This is done because we can instruct Volto to use this volto.config.js, which has been around also for some time. Maybe some of you already use it, where programmatically we can specify the Volto add-ons that we are going to use in our project, and also the theme that our project will use, right? So, and lastly, to close the circle, what are we doing? So when we start Volto, we say, okay, use this Volto config that you have in here, you see in that line, and call the Volto start, the vanilla Volto start. So effectively, we are starting vanilla Volto, passing a list of add-ons that we want Volto to load. So we don't need anymore this man in the middle, this project that was part of the boilerplate before Cookie Plone. So we pass the list, then Volto loads our add-ons, then we have our site loaded with our add-ons, starting
Victor?
with, yes?
So this is the voice from beyond. We have some questions I'm going to add here so you can answer them.
Yep, sure.
The first one is TV Purse. He's asking, if Volto upgrades, then how do I update my local project's Volto checkout?
Yeah, this is advancing too. I wanted to cover this, but it's a very good question. So yeah, let's see that since we have this new approach, and I want to stress this fact a lot, is that we are now using this add-on driven development, right? So all our configuration lies on the add-on, and this is our greatest win by using Cookie Plone, by using the new setup, right? In both the backend and the front end, and this is very important, right? Because for us, imagine that Volto 19 is out. Volto 19 is out, and then you say, oh, but I don't want to follow all the upgrade steps, and I just want to upgrade my old Volto 18 site to Volto 19. So what you can do, you can grab this folder, this Volto project title, where your default add-on lies in, your policy add-on lies in for the front end, and you can grab the add-on in the backend, which is inside the SRC folder. You can grab them both. You can generate a new boilerplate from scratch using the same parameters that you did before, and then you drop these two folders in the right places, in SRC and in packages inside the front end. And the theory is that it should work, because all your configuration is inside the add-on. And if you've been behaving and you're not touching anything of the boilerplate, which it could be that you can hack it, that you have to hack it, but it's very unlikely that you have to modify anything from the boilerplate. So, but the theory says that if you do that, you will have your site ready to be run in Volto 19 and in the latest Plone, just by changing the boilerplate and moving your add-ons on the top of it.
Let's go for another question here.
Yeah.
This is from Anim Hub. Hey, Victor, I want to contribute to the Volto. So do I need to follow the documentation, install it using Cookie Plone, or I just need to clone the Volto repo from GitHub?
Yeah, this is also a good question. For developing core, you don't need basically to use a project, because you are going to develop the core, right? So with a core checkout, you have enough. Then there is this, there is a documentation for that explicitly for core in Volto, I think. Yeah, let me search for it. Contributing to Volto, yeah, developing Volto core. This is a summary of what you should do, what are the steps that you should follow if you want to develop for Volto core. But yeah, indeed, you don't need the checkout for, you don't need a project for that. You just check out vanilla Volto, and then you start from there.
That's it. Let's keep going.
Okay. Then let's get back to this. Yeah, so we were saying what is the gist around the new setup. We know how Mrs. Developer works and what is for. Then the package JSON that, as I said, we don't have to touch this, but only if you are curious how things are done. Not only we start Volto using, we don't start our project using vanilla Volto, but using our add-ons, but we are also running everything, every utility that we can think and we can use using vanilla Volto. So we don't have to maintain any boilerplate around, because we are running the boilerplate from Volto itself. So if something at some point updates in there, automatically our project will catch up. That includes linting, formatting, testing, Cypress tests, the release, everything, right? The storybook configuration also pulls from there. So yeah, the full idea is that our boilerplate is as dumb as we manage to do so. So it's using vanilla Volto instead. And that's the gist around it. Yeah, let's continue. Let's move on a little bit. Yeah, and then another thing that it's related to the question is a goodie that we have by having a checkout of the core in here is that we are able to touch the core or develop the core at the same time that we are developing our project. So let's say that in our project you hit a bug in core and say, oh my God, I have a bug in core. I just discovered it. What should I do? And the fact is that now you don't have to change and go to a checkout of core, fix in there, push it, wait for your PR to work. To make it into core and release. But you can test it out directly in here on the fly, so you don't have to do anything, right? And let me show you this. So let's start Volto again, and let's make an easy. Whoa, yeah, no, because I stopped the backend. Make start. Let's start the backend again, and we have. In here, we have Volto, right? Okay. One of the things is that let's change as we are in the core. This is the checkout of Volto. We go in packages. Volto itself is also a mono repo, right? So we go into the Volto folder and we can go in SRC and let's make a change into the app component, right? Let's add a literal in here, just behind, after the breadcrumbs. And we go there, and we have hello in here. So we are touching Volto itself on the fly in our projects. And and I think that this is one of the best goodies out of the project, that we can slightly touch things, and before even using a shadow, using a shadow is a technique in Volto that allows us to modify any module, not only in core, but in any add-on. So our project modifies this module and overrides it on the fly. So even before of making the shadow, we can test the shadow live with the checkout of core, even, or any other add-on that we have. So yeah, let's remove this, and it's gone. And let's for now close the core package, and let's take a look now on which is the shape of our add-on. As I said, everything, every configuration that we want in our project should go into this add-on, into this the policy add-on that we will say in the old jargon. So we have in here the package JSON, and let's try to install, for example, an add-on. Let's install, let's say, the Volto Live theme in here. So what should we do to install Volto Live theme? First of all, we should declare it as a dependency of our add-on, right? So in the dependency side, we will say, yeah, 6.0.0 alpha 7, which is the latest Volto Live theme. And what should we do? I mean, this is a theme, but it's an add-on on itself, so we have to declare it also as add-on. So the way of doing that is, as always, by declaring the add-ons key in the package JSON, and then in an array, put the list of our add-ons. Remember that the list of our add-ons matter, right? So the add-ons are executed in order, in that following the order of this array. Okay, we have it in here, and now we have to install again our project, so this dependency is downloaded and it's put in the right place for us. So we go and we go to the front end, we stop it, and we do make install. Whoops, make install, and this will install VLT, the Volto Live theme for us. And while this is installing, yeah, it's done. We have to do yet another thing, which is go to the Volto config and declare the theme in here. So one of limitations that we have is that the theme has to be declared in the Volto config. It's not taken from the key in package JSON in the new setup. Could be that we amend that at some point, but yeah, since we have the centralized way of declaring add-ons and themes also using Volto config, yeah, I think it's enough to have it in here. So okay, we have the theme declared in here, so Volto will know that he has to look for a theme in that with that name. Now we have the add-ons and the dependencies, and we start the front end again. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's see now. Let's reload. And we have our site with Volto Live theme. Good. So we installed an add-on in our Volto site successfully. Okay. Another thing important to mention is good practices using the PMPM package manager. PMPM uses what they call non-flat node modules folder. What does that mean? It means that it uses symlinks for building this node modules folder. So of course, it still needs the node modules folder, but it uses, as you say, you can see here the arrows on the right. Yeah, it uses these non-flat node modules for a couple of reasons, because other package managers, what does is to grab all the dependencies, build a graph, and then resolve the graph, build up huge node modules with that normally it weighs a lot. It weighs kind of gigabytes, and it does this for every single project that you have, every single application. So you have huge node modules taking a lot of space in your hard drive. PNPN what does is not using actual copy of all the packages inside node modules, but uses symlinks. And these symlinks are not in a single node modules. They are distributed through all the dependencies, so it's more efficient. And every application only takes a couple of megabytes to every single time. But that requires you to work in the way that PNPM wants, which is that you have to declare every single dependency in the package that you are using that dependency, which makes total sense. And this is something that we continuously do in the Python world, right? I mean, if your package, if your add-on uses a dependency, you declare it in the setup.y, right? And you declare it as a dependency. So this is the only thing that PNPM will require you to do. And this is why you should always declare the dependencies that you have in your package in the right package JSON. In this case, in the add-on for your front end, the default add-on for your front end. This will help also to maintain portability. So you will never add things into the package JSON, into the root package JSON. You will add it always as a dependency of your policy package. Okay, and this, as I said, this will help for future portability. So you only have to extract your add-on, wipe out your boilerplate, put a new one, drop your add-on in there, and you're done. Yeah, regarding add-ons as well, this add-on, of course, has the entry point, which is this apply config. Function is the normal default export of your add-on. And this is where the configuration of your site happens, right? So you normally here, you have a long list of configurations. You are declaring new blocks, new views, everything that you can do with the Volto registry in order to configure your site, right? And this is also an important thing that I wanted to say, that we used to do this in a way that was a little bit not cumbersome, but we used to do this in this way, like, okay, config dot settings equals, and then dot config dot settings, and then we will put config, right? And settings dot is multilingual. Oh no, sorry, is multilingual equals false, and so on, right? This we inherited this from the immutability way of doing that, using the dot notation that came from Redux, right? And we got used to do that everywhere. But in case of the config, it's not really needed anymore. And in some cases, it can be more cumbersome than easy. And then I recommend you to drop this notation in favor of doing direct mutations of the objects. And it's not only more clear, and we don't need immutability in here, because the configuration only applies once and only once. And this is one of the best practice in default exports for applying the registry config that I can say. And I wanted to say that. Yeah. Okay, so we have our default index.js with our configuration. Then, let's move on a little bit. Okay, we have another way, and I wanted also to say that to explain how it works, which is the this notation that you see in here. So this workspace colon star, what does it mean? This is a PMPM thingy. By doing this, we're saying, okay, of all the workspaces that you have declared, grab the Volto one and use the one that you have in there as in code. What this will do is to go, you remember that we have in here the workspaces declared as the core folder, packages folder, everything that is inside. That's why, because what we have in core is the vanilla Volto, and inside packages, we are declaring all the packages that are in vanilla Volto as a workspace. So we can potentially use any of it in our project. That means that in this line, we are saying the build that we want to use Plone Volto as the one that is in that folder, like this, right? So it's, okay, grab the one in the workspace. The same for the registry. We're saying, no, I want you to use this registry version. And the same for our default add-on, right? And this closes the circle. So we're using vanilla Volto with the vanilla packages from the core, plus our add-on, our policy add-on, taken from the workspace. But this is not all. We can also do the same in our inner add-on. So we have our policy add-on in here, we have the package JSON, and let's say that in our project, we want to use Plone components. We can do this as a dependency. We are saying PMPM that I want to use Plone components, but please use the one that is inside the core, that it's inside this core folder that has been checked out by the by Cookie Plone, right? If we do this, and we do make install always, because if not, it's not going to happen, then my build, my package, I mean my policy package will start use it right away, and I will be able to use Plone components in my component. So yeah, let's take a quick look. So let's imagine, yeah, this is the core folder. No, let's go to here. Let's create a component. My component dot tsx, whoopa. And let's say import container from Plone components, and let's create my component, whoop, and we can do these now, and container, hello. Okay, we have a new component here. So as you can see, the IDE doesn't complain, because now I have Plone components in my environment, and it's grabbing the container component, and I can use it right away in here. So that's the idea. So that's how the workspace works. This also works with other packages, right? And I can pull other packages from Mrs. Developer. And let me put a quick example in here. For example, I want to have the button block, and I want to develop the button block also from here, the Kit Concept button block. So I could come to Mrs. Developer and say, hey, develop the button block at the same time. And Mrs. Developer will go in here, will do a checkout from, this repository, the button block repository, and it will drop button block inside the packages folder. And then I will be able to develop the button block at the same time that I develop my package, and I develop my project, and potentially I can develop also the core on itself at the same time. So that's the flexibility and the flexibility and the potential the power that the new setup gives to you. Okay, then yeah, I think I covered all the bases. Yeah, I don't know if you have any question about it. Let's see.
Actually, there's one important point that our good friend Peter Mattis raised. Take a look in here. I think the latest tag on npm.js is not set correctly for Volto. So that's probably the reason we are getting the wrong version. See? And of course, Victor is muted because he muted himself. So the voice of Beyond is asking him, unmute yourself. Okay,
yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, could be, but since we are using the checkout, that doesn't matter. So npm.js should have the latest tag set correctly, but we can look into that. However, the good, I mean, it's not that it's good. I mean, the way that Plone works is that it works with the checkout of a tag. So we are checking out the tag of a specific release. Then that doesn't really matter a lot. So I don't know. You had any problems with I can see how you had problems with this.
Actually, I think the point in here is when we are running Plone.
Yeah.
Plone goes all the way to npm.js and in there asks for the latest version, right? And that could be the problem. I tried also in here and I got the same results, returning the alpha instead of returning the final version. So
you mean
it's not the checkout. Yes.
Okay, you mean when you run Plone? Yeah. That I realized of this morning, and we need to improve. I think that the detection on how Plone gets the information from npm.js. Regarding the tag, I think that it should be good. I mean, I don't know, but we can check into it, right? Oh no, sorry. Yeah, npm.js. But we can, yeah. No. Let's see. Okay. Oh, right. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Could be. Yeah. I made a release this morning of Volto 17, and probably since it's not that it's usually happen. Yeah, it set the latest to 17 instead to 18. Okay, I will look into that definitely, because this is doesn't have to happen. Okay, but then it's true that maybe it's not the detection in Plone, it's that the tag is wrong. Yeah, I will take a look. Yeah, probably it won't take long.
Okay, thank you, Victor. That was really nice and enlightening. We are going to end this first edition of the Plone Hands On. Actually, it's the first official one. We had one in during World Plone Day. But we invite you all to first subscribe to @Plone CMS on YouTube, and also to like this video. That helps a lot because algorithm, you know. And our next edition is going to be on January 8th. We are going to announce in the next few days what's going to be the topic, but we want to have you all in here again. Also, an additional information, we were also being streaming this video on LinkedIn. So if you're following us from LinkedIn, like Ed Munlove, thank you very much, and we hope to see you again.
Yeah, thank you very much for attending.